has done. Look at how he has rescued me. Look at how he has saved me. This is our responsibility as parents and grandparents to pass the truth down to the next generation. And it's very clear here. This is God's desire. I have done this that you may know and that they may know that I am the Lord. So, verse 3, Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh and said to him, thus says the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your country, and they shall cover the face of the land, so that no one can see the land. And they shall eat what is left to you after the hail, and they shall eat every tree of yours that grows in the field, and they shall fill your houses and the houses of all your servants and of all the Egyptians, as neither your fathers nor your grandfathers have seen, from the day they came on earth to this day. Then he turned and went out from Pharaoh. Right? So Moses says, right, there's coming a locust swarm like nobody's ever seen, right, from then till now. And then in verse 7, Pharaoh's servant said to him, how long shall this man be a snare to us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Do you not yet understand that Egypt is ruined? Pharaoh, wake up. Right, don't you get it? Right? Just let him go. Right? I mean, his servants are now, they're hearing Moses, they're going, this has got to stop. Look around. The land is a mess. Right? I mean, the hail destroyed almost everything, and he just said that if you don't listen, the locusts are coming, and they're going to take the rest. Wake up. And so Pharaoh responds to their counsel. Notice verse 8. Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, go serve the Lord your God, but which ones are to go? Right? Basically, he's saying what? Who do you want? Who's going to actually go? Because what's he concerned about? He's concerned they're all going to go, right? So notice what Moses says. Moses said, we will go with our young and our old. We will go with our sons and daughters, with our flocks and herds, for we must hold a feast to the Lord. Right? So Moses says what? We're all going, right? Everybody's going. And Pharaoh says, he said to them, the Lord be with you if ever I let you and your little ones go. Look, you have some evil purpose in mind. No, go. The men among you and serve the Lord, for that is what you are asking. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. Verse 11 is striking. No, that is what Pharaoh says, you're not asking to take everybody, right? You're asking just to take the men. You're not taking the children. You're not taking the livestock. I'll tell you what you're going to do, right? He still believes that he's in control, and he's still commanding as if he is God. This is a sad picture, isn't it not? This is a man who has dug his heels in and just rebelled to the very end. Dear friends, this is exactly what sin does. Look around him. Everything is in ruin. I mean, the land is a mess. The people are a mess. And he has people around him going, wake up, wake up. Your stubbornness has cost you. We know people like this, don't we? Some of us have been people like this. Right? We've been in our addiction and in our hard-heartedness, and somebody has the gall to say, wake up, you're ruining your life. How do they respond? They get angry. Right? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Right? Don't tell me what to do. I'm in control of my life. I have things. And you watch someone just walk into ruin who you love and you care about. Who you're saying, this is exactly what sin does. It ruins, it destroys, and oftentimes we're just blinded to it as we continue to persist in rebellion. This is exactly what Pharaoh has done. Everybody around him is going, Pharaoh, wake up. And he's going, I'm still in control. I have this under, And so when you're dealing with sin in your life, and when you're dealing with sin, we want to deal with it swiftly, right? We don't want to let it get out of control, because what happens is it controls us. And picture in Genesis chapter 4, sin lying at the door, waiting to devour. Right? And so Pharaoh's getting this counsel, and it's going nowhere, so he tries to negotiate, and the negotiation goes south in a hurry because Moses says, no, we're all going. Moses is not afraid anymore. He's not afraid of Pharaoh. He knows who's in control. Well, notice verse 12. The Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, so they may come upon the land of Egypt and eat every plant in the land, all that the hail has left. So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. When it was morning, the east wind had brought the locusts. The locusts came up over all the land of Egypt and settled on the whole country of Egypt, such a dense swarm of locusts as had never been before, nor ever will be again. They covered the face of the whole land. So the land was darkened, and they ate all the plants in the land and all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. Not a green thing remained, neither tree nor plant of the field, through all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh hastily called Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now therefore forgive my sin. Please, only this once, plead with the Lord your God to remove this death from me. So he went out from Pharaoh and pleaded with the Lord, and the Lord turned the wind into a very strong west wind, which lifted the locusts and drove them into the Red Sea. Not a single locust was left in the country of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the people of Israel go. Now, you can read that, and you can almost go, God, that's not right. That's not fair. Look, Pharaoh seems broken here, right? He seems like, now, God knows Pharaoh's heart. This is not an innocent man. This is a man who has shook his face at God. This is a man who's dug his heels in. And so people read that and go, God hardened his heart? This man has a hard heart, right? Yes, God's preventing him at this moment because God has a plan and a purpose to put his glory and his power on display. And it's going to be, right? Let's finish this out, right? Verse 21, the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness to be felt. Whew. So Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and there was pitch darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. But all the people of Israel had light where they lived. A darkness that is felt. Right? I've only been in a few places in my life where it was just pure lights out dark. Right? I learned I had some claustrophobic tendencies when I was in that place. Right? It feels like it's closing in on you. And here, this is dangerous, right? They can't see one another. They can't see anything for 3 days. And what has God done? They got light over in Goshen, right? Things are fine. This is supernatural power, right? Dark here, light here. That's not natural. And God's judgment is having its full effect, right? And so we see this picture. Verse 24, Pharaoh called Moses and said, go serve the Lord. Your little ones also may go with you. Only let your flocks and your herds remain behind. Still trying to negotiate, right? Still trying to make a deal. All right, I'll give you this, but I want to keep this, right? And so oftentimes it's what people do with God, right? They kind of, God, you can have this, but not this. And you can have this, but I'm going to keep a hold of this. And Pharaoh's just trying with everything he can to not surrender fully. And Moses, what? Moses just says, you must also let us have sacrifices and burnt offerings that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. Our livestock also must go with us. Not a hoof shall be left behind, for we must take them to serve the Lord our God, and we do not know with what we must serve the Lord until we arrive there. Right? No, everybody's going. Right? Kids are going, livestock's going. You're not in control, Pharaoh. This is what has to happen. But verse 27, the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. Then Pharaoh said to him, get away from me. Take care never to see my face again. For on the day you see my face, you shall die. Moses said, as you say, I will not see your face again. Right? It's amazing that this hasn't happened already, isn't it? This is nothing but God's power in itself. That Moses could confront Pharaoh 8 times previously and Pharaoh not have him killed. But here he says, get out of my face. And Moses says, all right, right? You won't see me again. Right? But he knows. He knows exactly what God's going to do. God has revealed it. Moses has seen God's hand of power. And Pharaoh has just continued to dig in his heels. Right? These plagues, they teach us. They show us, right, that this God, the Lord, Jehovah, is the one true God who has power and authority. All of these false gods of the Egyptians, are nothing. They're meaningless. They're worthless. And we only find the kind of life and joy and prosperity that they're looking for in the Lord. That's it. There is no God like this God. We see that God is a just God, right? I mean, the picture here is so very clear. God said to Abraham, I'm going to bless those who bless you. I'm going to curse those who curse you. Right? Remember, right, when Joseph came into Egypt, he's elevated to second in command. The land of Egypt is blessed. People are coming from all over to eat in Egypt. Now, after they have cursed God's people, what's happening? They got nothing to eat. They have nothing. God has decimated their land. This is the uncreation of Egypt. And that's what, make no mistake about it, right? God is dismantling this land. What was the very first thing he created? He said, let there be light, right? Now God has brought darkness on the land of Egypt. This God is the one true creator God. And the real question for us tonight is what? How are we going to respond? Who is the Lord that I shall obey his voice? He is the supreme, all-powerful, glorious God. And he is worthy of our worship. And he's worthy of our obedience. And so you're going to respond in one of two ways. You know, you'll respond like Pharaoh, stubborn, hard-hearted rebellion. You can dig your heels in and you can fight, and it doesn't go well. Right? Or you can respond in humble submission to the Lord. Surrender to his word. Surrender to his will. And that's where we find life. And that's where we find blessing. In submission and surrender to the Lord. Man, there's more we could look at, but we're going to stop there.